I'm Irene Clancy, and I was born and raised in Shafter, California, which is about 20 minutes north of Bakersfield. I've been a resident of Kern County my entire life, so almost 48 years. I've been married to my husband for almost 28 years, and we have two boys, a 21-year-old and a 17-year-old. I've never been super athletic. You're not gonna find me running any kind of marathon. I don't like feeling like I'm going to die. So I took a free intro class at a local Pilates studio, and I just absolutely fell in love. From there, I would find myself like craving that movement, and it got to the point where my husband was like, "You are there so much, you should probably become an instructor." And I was like, "Don't threaten me with a good time, buddy, because I'll do it." But honestly, I loved the movement. I loved how I felt. So I went through the training, which is about a 500-hour course. After my training, I knew that there was a need for a studio, and I knew that it was something I wanted to do just out the gate. But I also knew that just because I was certified didn't mean I was in a position and had the background to open up a studio, because there's a lot involved. So I took a job at a local studio, and I worked there for a year, learning as much as I possibly could. I also had a private home studio that my husband built during COVID for me, and I took on private clients, and that kind of helped to get my feet wet as to how I would run a studio. When I got my certificate, I knew that I needed to work at a Pilates studio for at least a year before I can even think about opening one, because there's so many things behind the scenes that you don't know and you don't learn with a certification. And I started kind of looking for locations. The original location that I wanted, it wasn't happening. Everything was just working against me. So one day I was dropping off my son at school, and I happened to drive by this location. So I called, and I immediately spoke with somebody, and I knew at that point that this was where I was supposed to be. I love the idea that it is a community and a neighborhood studio, which is what I really wanted for my members. And the fact that I live just down the street, the members here are not just members, they're like parents of kids my kids go to school with. They're people that I see at the grocery store because we are in this community. The name came from basically what it is. I always thought it was kind of kitschy to kind of be like, "I'll see you at the bar," pun intended. And so that's what I did. That, and also, if you're interested in Pilates in Bakersfield, if you're interested in Barre, you're gonna look up Pilates Bakersfield, and then we'll pop up. So I actually came across Access Plus Capital accidentally. I was frustrated, I'd been declined, I'd been shut down, and someone that I knew was attending something Access Plus Capital was hosting. And so I kind of clicked the link and contacted them, and from there I was able to get help. One piece of advice that I would give myself if I could go back in time would be to trust the journey. This is not my first rodeo. I've had multiple businesses before, but where in those businesses I didn't quite find myself successful or find that was going to happen for me, I feel like it led me to where I am, because it helped paved the way. And I feel like a lot of times as an entrepreneur, because believe me, it's a blessing and a curse, I would find myself having these ideas and going through with them, but I didn't necessarily have the direction that I needed to kind of bring it all together and make it successful. And so you become frustrated, you become irritated, and you become discouraged because it's not panning out the way that you have in your mind. But I would tell myself to just trust the journey, because I feel like now, looking back, all of those things kind of led me and prepared me to where I was. And I will say this also, having Access Plus Capital as a partner in opening my studio helped me, because that was a piece that I was missing in previous businesses. Here I was, a gal like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I would do it without necessarily thinking it all the way through. But Access Plus Capital kind of held my hand and helped me to think about those things that I hadn't before, and I feel like that has set me up for success.